Hey everybody, Icy Cat here. We just got an early peek at what the newest operator for Year 1 of Season 2 will be. Let's take a look at the image and talk about that next. This image was posted on the subreddit today by user AntM16, and he shared this image, which if you look at the bottom of the screen there, you can see it is from an official Ubisoft advertisement. This would be the ad preceding a YouTube video, and it's promoting the upcoming Rainbow Six Invitational. That's this weekend, Friday, February 3rd through Sunday, February 5th. And we've already gone over what that will be. They're going to be talking about different things happening on the stream, but you can see here that this screenshot has a new operator shown on it. This is the much speculated operator MIRA. She was originally shown back in the mid-season reinforcements update. That's when Tachanka's shield buff came out, and there was a hand-drawn sketch image shown of this operator, along with a written description detailing her name as well as the call sign of MIRA, the fact that she was an engineer and she was helping Tachanka upgrade his shield. Now, we just recently got a teaser trailer for Jackal. That would be the attacking operator for the Spanish GEO CTU. And as you can see in this image here, the operator shown looks very similar to the sketch of MIRA. We've got that same helmet with the really big visor that's kind of like the GSG9 helmet and visor set. Of course, GSG9 helmets have had a little bit of a hitbox issue in that the larger size of the hitbox does make for some more easy headshots. Hopefully that's not a problem that we see going forward with this operator. But of course, the real question is, what is she doing in this image? It's not the highest quality image, it's a little blurry, and I haven't seen the original source ad myself. I mean, this is an ad, so it's going to come up in kind of a random rotation. Now, since this is breaking news, it may come out later on that there's a place where you can go to view this. Maybe somebody will post the original, but at the time of my recording this, that is not yet the case. So what exactly is this thing that she's holding in her hands? I mean, it looks giant and heavy and frankly looks like it weighs more than she does. So we're just going to put some video game logic on the table here and say that she can carry this. But what does it do? Some people think it could be a type of reinforced trapdoor that you can't get through using like a Hibana or a thermite. Right now, there is a problem in the game that there's no way to counter anybody making an entry onto the trapdoors. I mean, you can put a mute jammer or a bandit battery on currently existing metal wall reinforcements to stop breaches on them, but there's nothing you can do for trapdoors. Of course, there are a couple of locations in the game where you can put a mute jammer on a raised surface and sort of catch the trapdoor, but there's only a few locations in the game where you can do that, and it's not really consistent because some of them you have to sort of like overlap the trapdoor a little bit, and maybe you can still kind of get it on the outer edge with the breach. So there is a weakness in the game for being able to come through trapdoors and not being able to really do anything to stop it. This could possibly be a counter to that. However, I'm not sure that that would be the case because that would be very, very specific. I mean, essentially, this operator would become useless if you were holding down an objective that had no trapdoor entries on it. What do you do then? This operator has no function in that case. It could perhaps be a multi-purpose function. For instance, metal reinforcements are context sensitive. If you put it on a wall, you get one kind of reinforcement panel. If you put it on a trapdoor, you get a different kind of reinforcement panel. So perhaps it's context sensitive. If that's the case, then you would essentially be able to put a reinforced metal barricade onto a trapdoor or a wall that could not be breached. And on the outset, that is very powerful. It seems like there's no counter to that, and there might not be, but at the same time, she would probably only be able to carry one or two of these, so even if you can't counter it, there's plenty of other ways that get through the other walls in the section. But what if that's not what it actually does? And again, we're all in the land of speculation here. Nobody actually knows for sure what this does. But there's some other ideas that are floating around. One that I thought of was, what if this was an actual expandable wall section? So the way this would work is you could place it anywhere you wanted to. She would put it on the floor, and then she would either lift it up like the metal reinforcements do, or maybe it would have some kind of like pneumatic expansion in it, and it would expand upward and fill to the height of the top of a standard reinforcement wall panel. And this would create a surface that would essentially be like a brand new wall in a room that you could place anywhere you wanted. This would completely shake up the meta of the game. I mean, right now we have it set up so that defenders can set up on certain angles to watch for the attackers to come in. They know all the angles to watch. And on the flip side, the attackers know all the different angles that they can hold to pin down the defenders. But now if you have walls that you can position wherever you want them to be positioned, you completely destroy those lines of sight and those angles. They're no longer valid anymore. Something like that would completely change the meta of the game, especially if the wall had any metal qualities to it, like if you could only breach through it using a thermite or a Hibana, so then you couldn't even shoot through it. But even if it was just a standard wall that could still be shot through, that would really change things up because you're completely blocking lines of sight. Now, while this would be incredibly cool, there is one important factor that we're not considering, and that's the fact that MIRA's name translates into look. So MIRA means look, and oftentimes an operator's call sign has a lot to do with what their ability is. Not always, but in many cases it does. So how would a wall be useful for that? Well, it could be useful for that if it had transparency to it. In other words, you could maybe put up a wall that you could see through. Perhaps it would be bulletproof glass. Although if that were the case, I wouldn't think we would be talking about an expandable surface anymore because glass can't do that. But maybe there's other kinds of materials that could do it, or perhaps it's still an expandable wall and maybe it has like embedded cameras on one side of the wall, and then MIRA can see that on the other side. Maybe even something on her, she's got that giant visor on her helmet. Maybe there's some kind of a HUD that's projected onto the visor so she can see through it, but then that would mean the rest of the team can't. Or what if it's not even expandable at all? What if that's just the actual size of it? In that case, you wouldn't be able to necessarily cover full walls with it, but what if you could put it on windows and maybe even doors? So this would be something that would be about the right size to cover up a window, and you could put it on there, and then this would have a material on it that you could see through to the other side, but it would still block projectiles from coming in if it was made out of like maybe a bulletproof glass or something like that. Now let's up the game even further. What if it was one-way glass? So if you were an attacker on the outside of the glass, it would be like solid to you. You couldn't really see through it. But on the other side, the defenders could see out. Now this would be a situation where you would not want to get anywhere near this window as an attacker if that were the case. Maybe you could even put it on a door, so maybe doors and windows. Now approaching this kind of a setup would be very risky as an attacker. Perhaps the glass isn't bulletproof at all, and you could actually shoot through it. If it's one-way glass, as a defender, you just wait until somebody steps in front of it and you drop them. Of course, attackers can then also just blindly fire through it and maybe score some lucky kills that way too, but then that wouldn't be any different than a standard barricade that you can't see through. At the end of the day, all of these ideas are purely speculation. We don't actually know what she can do. We know that her name translates into the word look. We know that back to the mid-season reinforcements where she was pictured with Tachanka, she was referenced as an engineer. So this is somebody that fixes things, upgrades things, or comes up with unique inventions or ideas perhaps. But now that we actually have a look at her in action, holding what looks to be her gadget, we can at least begin to make some guesses as to what this might mean. Now the Rainbow Six Invitational is coming up this weekend, as I mentioned before, so we will definitely be getting a look at this operator in detail at that point. We got our teaser trailer for Jackal just a few days back, so I would expect that sometime in the next few days we'll probably be getting a similar teaser trailer for MIRA as well. Whenever that does drop, I will of course be covering that here, so if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news and information for Rainbow Six Siege, as well as the upcoming new map and operators, then please make sure to like and subscribe. You can also follow me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.